And we are live. Welcome to Flick and Reel, your friendly neighborhood fan cast. We are your source for news, reviews, and daily discourse. I am your host, Jesse Swift. On today's show, I am joined by Scott Fox and Tyler Hall. Today, we have so many things to discuss, whether it be the Hawkeye Disney Plus series, Wonder Woman debuting at HBO Max in just a few weeks. Ryan Johnson had some other ideas for Force Ghosts, and WB just dropped the bomb on theaters and the rest of us with some big announcements. And Oscar Isaac, cast and everything? Sounds like it. All right, so we're going to get into those. Say hi to everybody watching.
Good morning.
Tyler's just going to remain silent. It's fine.
Hey, yeah. I don't know. Will I pop up if I start talking?
I'm also present. Well, I think, you don't have the gallery view on. I could have you do that really quick just to make it easier for you. If you go...
Well, I could see everybody.
Oh, you can see everyone. Okay,
yeah,
so we're fine. Yeah. All right, guys. So the first topic I wanted to talk about, which when I made the topics at first, this was the biggest thing we had to talk about. And that is that Wonder Woman is going to be debuting on HBO Max and in theaters in Christmas. And it wasn't that long ago that me and Scott were speculating on what these movies are going to do with so many theaters being closed right now and it being just kind of really inconsistent. I still haven't seen anything in theaters since February. And it was like Bloodshot and Onward and like some of those. This is pretty big, guys. Tyler, I'll have you go first. Are you excited? Nervous?
The theaters to open back up?
No, I mean that. But how do you feel about Wonder Woman dropping Christmas Day on HBO Max?
Oh, that'll be great because that's one of the few streaming services that I still have.
And I only have it because of you, so.
Yeah. It's exciting for just I've been wanting anything to come out, anything at all. So and then Wonder Woman obviously should have been out a while ago. So
it's been done for like over a year.
Yeah, something superhero related. We haven't had any Marvel films, so yeah, pretty excited.
In the whole year. Scott?
I think this is one of those situations where you and I specifically on a podcast talked about this, what the theater landscape would look like, especially after what happened with Trolls World Tour going directly to streaming, some of the other things, AMC's backlash over those moves of going straight to streaming services. But to be honest, I'm all for it. It gets the product in front of a customer. It's going to drive their subscription base, which instead of being for one movie, it's going to be a monthly subscription. And most people, once they sign up for something, they're not as prone to go back because it's only $15. They're not as prone to go back.
They usually don't make it easy either.
No, it's not as bad as a gym where you have to go in, but you can only go in on the third Tuesday of the month when the manager's in attendance, and they always have the third Tuesday off.
So I've been paying for a gym that I haven't gone to in like 3 years. It's
good luck.
Exactly that. Yeah,
it's impossible to cancel. Yeah. Just resign yourself to that's a permanent payment. But the fact that they're actually moving forward, and again, AMC had a negative response to Warner going through or moving forward with this, but Warner has to do what they need to do to protect their product. They've put a ton of money into this, and if Warner's getting a kickback from HBO for this and is going to somehow share profits in some way, shape, or form, plus they've got so much money tied into these properties that they have to recoup some of the money so they can keep making things down the road. And until they get money coming back in the pipeline, they have no other option. I'm excited for it because at least the theater game is moving forward. New movies are going to be coming out. And I see you got the HBO Max on the backdrop. The big thing for me is there's some amazing titles coming straight to streaming.
Oh, yeah. And we're gonna get to talking about those because my biggest one that me and you were talking about, getting on HBO Max now, I would much rather see it in theaters, but I'm impatient, very impatient.
Yeah, there's. I'm assuming you're referencing Dune, since you went forward and read or listened to the entire audiobook.
Yeah, I did all that homework for no reason.
Yeah, but the fact that those are coming forward and the cast for Dune, everything in that looks outstanding. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that's not the only news that comes with this. Wonder Woman will be the first 4K Dolby Atmos supported movie to be dropped on HBO Max. And a lot of people have been kind of critiquing and coming after HBO because so many other streaming services have started releasing 4K. Like you can rewatch all the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus in 4K. And I got to tell you, if you pop one of those on with like the 4K and stuff, you can notice it. It's beautiful. It looks like it was filmed today, like 70s effects, but just today's cameras. It's wild. So I can't wait to see.
The quality is definitely there.
Why aren't any of their other releases like that yet?
I just think that they were behind on catching up with it. I think everything post Wonder Woman will be, but it just took them a while to get the 4K technology and capacity and stuff.
Well, you have to also look at their network and infrastructure. They may not have had the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Bandwidth is such a
I guess that makes a lot of sense too, and it's probably like a long process as well to convert everything.
Right. Okay. With that, on the topic of streaming services, I want to talk about Disney Plus a little bit because we finally have some movement on the Hawkeye show, and I feel like with Disney Plus, we were supposed to have I think like 3 Marvel shows in 2020, and instead we got nothing. And so it's been really frustrating just hearing all these news of them being in the works. It's like, oh, Falcon the Winter Soldier's wrapped, WandaVision's wrapped, Miss Marvel started filming, She-Hulk's getting cast, and now we have something else that's in the pipeline. And I'm just waiting for the floodgates to break open and all these things to come through. But anyways, Haley Steinfeld was rumored to be casted as Kate Bishop. For anybody here or at home that doesn't know who Kate Bishop is, she is essentially the protege to Hawkeye, the one that eventually takes up the mantle when he goes like full Ronin and retires and stuff like that. And she in her own right is a badass. And I really like Haley Steinfeld, whether it be in Bumblebee or Edge of 17. I don't know if you guys have seen those. People have started affectionately calling her Bumblebee, which I think is clever.
She's in something else besides Bumblebee, isn't she?
Pitch Perfect.
Oh, okay.
She was in the reboot of, is it True Grit, I think?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, thank you. I defer to you, Scott. And then we're getting Lucky the Pizza Dog with straight from the comics. A lot of this Hawkeye show is going to be based off of the Matt Fraction Hawkeye series that came out not that long ago, less than a decade ago, and so people are really excited about that. Are you guys looking forward to the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus? And what do you think of Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop?
I think I'll be honest. I'm probably an anomaly in this. I could care less.
You're not. There's a lot of people out there that both Hawkeye and like Black Widow, they're like, But yeah,
I feel like this is. Maybe it's a way to carry forward the character and transform it over and create something new with it, which is cool. And I trust Marvel always does a good job. It's just not something, if you had listed out a whole lot of things that I really wanted, this, as far as a show series, was way down the list. There are a lot of things I would have preferred to see well before any of this started.
I do think they're setting up new Avengers, which would be part of this thing with Kate Bishop, or Young Avengers, not New Avengers, I'm sorry. And then the rumors are heavily coming through that Florence Pugh, who plays Yelena Bolovich in the Black Widow movie, will also appear in the Hawkeye show. Tyler, did you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, not this particular show. I'm kind of with Scott. It was like more towards the bottom of my excitement list. Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision being at the top, obviously. Just because
Loki in there too.
I mean,
okay.
I want to see it, but that's just more like Loki's been and done. WandaVision has barely been done. Falcon and Winter Soldier have barely been done. Loki's been in like how many movies?
Sure.
7.
And he had a full arc. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
So
we saw the Loki character, his development from the brother to the bad guy to the redemption story to the death. We've seen a full coming around, and his death was a heart-wrenching death. It's kind of like Black Widow, the fact that we're getting the movie post her death. Yeah, post-mortem. It's like, okay, whoops, this is poorly timed because
and he was
now I'm already past my investment on the character.
Yeah, and he was the main antagonist in a couple films and the secondary antagonist in several more. So it's not like he was like any lack of screen time or anything like that. So
And he's beloved by fans. Loki, Tom
Yeah.
Hiddleston as Loki was a perfect casting, perfectly acted,
I
perfectly
agree.
created.
I agree.
I see where both you guys are coming from, and I think I agree. As far as when the list came out, I mean, you also have What If, the animated shows are coming out. Out of the list, Hawkeye probably was towards the bottom tier of my anticipation. However, with the comic that they're basing this off of, I haven't read it myself, but in all my comic podcasts I listen to and stuff, it's brought up so frequently that sounds like a really exciting basis.
Well, here's another thing about that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it's just different news or like different things or like showing me anything could change my mind in a heartbeat.
A trailer.
Like I wasn't excited for the Joker movie, and then they made that little makeup test video, and then I watched that a million times. Yeah, She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany being casted as She-Hulk, that was all it took for me to care about it. And
fair enough.
So Hawkeye is different. Like, I don't mind the actor, but
they did just announce, and I don't have it on here because I forgot to update some of these notes, but they just dropped like 5 or 6 people that are going to be joining that show. So maybe that's something we could look up after the recording. But it's Marvel. It's going to likely be really good, but I understand like the lack of current anticipation. All right, with that, we can move on to the next topic, and that is going to be me and Scott's favorite thing to talk about for 30 minutes, and that is The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson, or as we know him here, Satan incarnate, the devil himself, was considering having Hayden Christensen as Anakin appear. It doesn't say in place of, but maybe in addition to Yoda in like the tree burning scene in Last Jedi. His explanation for not using it is he thinks it would be a little confusing because Luke didn't have an actual relationship with Anakin. It was just Darth Vader, which is my whole point why I don't think Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost should have been shoved into Return of the Jedi. But that's a topic for another day. Would you guys have liked to see Force Ghost Anakin in The Last Jedi?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The number of things I wanted to see in The Last Jedi that we didn't get to see, anything would have been better. It's not that The Last Jedi by itself, if you literally just take Last Jedi as a movie and forget about the rest of Star Wars, it's not a bad movie. The problem is when you watch Star Wars and then you consider all the things that he didn't do. I'm speechless because all the things I wanted out of The Last Jedi, all the great storylines, everything that were built in coming out of Episode 7, that Episode 8 should have been a marvel. It could have been amazing.
It should have been like literally the next Empire Strikes Back, right?
It followed what prequel or what sequels do, where it's a drop off. Empire Strikes Back is one of the anomalies where the sequel's better than the original, or for a lot of people.
2.
But Terminator 2, there are less good sequels than there are. There are a lot more cruddy ones where they fall off. And the problem with this one is, I know
Rambo.
The problem with this one, with Last Jedi, is that Rian Johnson intentionally wanted to subvert expectations by doing his own thing. But you're talking about the group of people who need the most fan treatment because the fans are so invested. They've poured their lives into these characters and these storylines, and he just didn't do anything. If we had Hayden Christensen, it would have tied the arc around a lot better. We would have seen a little more of the redemption. Plus, the saying that there's not a relationship between Luke and Anakin, the whole point of the Return of the Jedi was Luke rescuing his father, building that relationship. That was the point.
Right. And if they did something retroactively where they're like, Anakin has been coming to Luke over the years, I think I could buy that a little bit more. Like, this isn't the first appearance of him other than like at the end of Return of the Jedi. My thing is, I have my headcanon going. My headcanon is the unaltered versions of the original trilogy. And people said what Lucas does is canon, and so the special editions is the real thing. I don't care. They had, I believe it's the same actor that played him when his mask came off, show up as a Force ghost, just not scarred and hideous and stuff. And to me, I'm like, that's 40-something or 50-year-old Anakin. And because he in his redemption moment kind of became a Jedi again and was brought over to the light side. That's why he appeared that way. So for them to bring Hayden as a ghost, whereas like I understand why they did it because we got to know Anakin that way, but to me, as a story point, it doesn't make sense. If they wanted to use his voice or something, like his voice speaking to Luke, I would have been all for that. But physically, I don't like it. But that maybe I'm weird.
Yeah, and then there was whole like Kylo Ren's whole obsession was the pull to the dark because he was obsessed with Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
And didn't he know that Darth Vader was redeemed in the end?
No,
and,
because
like,
Luke would have been, unless Luke specifically told him that, but I don't think Luke did. It wasn't common knowledge throughout the galaxy, because if it came out that Darth Vader was the father of Luke and Leia, it would illegitimize both of them. Nobody would follow Leia or Luke. And so I think they both kind of kept that on the down low, that it was Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. I still say yes.
That's
Because I would have loved to see more Hayden Christensen, more Anakin Skywalker.
I mean, he would have been like one of the only constants in this whole thing, because like
I would like to see more Hayden Christensen. I just don't know in that context if it would have worked for me.
Anakin Skywalker touching in all three trilogies would have been fantastic. You know, he carried the whole story all along.
All we get is like a syllable, a couple syllables of his voice echoing in at the end of
Rise
number
of
9.
Skywalker. Well, yeah, I also thought that was a little presumptuous, because his lines to Rey were "bring balance to the Force," as I once did, and I was like, I mean, you threw the Emperor, but like you're taking a lot of credit. Calm down there.
No, there was a surplus of Jedis, and he fixed that.
Oh,
remember? Yeah.
Oh, yikes. Decreased surplus population. All right.
Yeah,
well,
that was definitely him.
With that, I want to do one more small topic, because to me, what Warner Brothers has done is the main topic of the show, because there's a lot that goes in with that. And Scott, thank you for bringing it up this morning. Oscar Isaac is cast as Solid Snake in Sony's Metal Gear Solid adaptation. Tyler, I don't know about you, but Scott being the one to bring this up, hopefully I can defer to you, because my knowledge of Metal Gear Solid is very limited.
Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you run off, but I wanted to say mine is very limited too. I only played one game on the PSP like 10, 15 years ago. But I'm down with Oscar Isaac in anything. So,
well, he's going to be in everything. So fantastic. He's Moon Knight now, and
good. He's great. He's one of the best to come around in years.
For actors, the window of popularity where you're at the top of your game and you're literally can be everywhere, you have to seize that. So I'm all for him being in everything he can get money to be in. For him, he should be trying to start as many roles as possible. For Metal Gear Solid, and to play Snake is to be honest, I think it's a perfect fit. He's got the right look.
Do we get Oscar Isaac hiding in a box?
No, but what I really want to see is the stealth suit, when he can go basically invisible in order to sneak around. There's so many cool things in Metal Gear, the video games, and
I think it could be a great franchise if it takes off.
Oh, absolutely. And there's a lot of games.
Yes.
I got off the bandwagon early, mostly because I stopped gaming as much. And I had to be really limited with my dollars and how I played. But I played the first couple Metal Gear games, and they were fantastic. Metal Gear 2 was one of my favorites. And like I said, I think Oscar Isaac is a great pick. He's a really, really talented actor. The fact that he has not been nominated for more awards surprises me, because he's been so good in so many roles.
Where was his nomination for Apocalypse?
Well, it's funny. I was going to bring up Apocalypse. I know makeup shouldn't count. I know makeup shouldn't count, but like Oscar Isaac, even though he has a very specific look, like you can't always tell that it's him if you don't know the actor Oscar Isaac.
There's nothing unique about that performance. It's not his fault.
I'm not talking about Apocalypse itself, but like in Ex Machina and going to Star Wars sequels, you wouldn't know that like maybe those two are the same, because he just looks different and he puts on an entirely different act. And I love one scene of his in Ex Machina. I just repeat it randomly all the time, or I'll watch the clip on YouTube or share it on Facebook. So yeah, I love Oscar Isaac. It would be great.
All right, awesome. I'm looking forward to it, and maybe I'll learn up on it before it comes out.
Lesser known Oscar Isaac, if you really want to dip into the well, the movie Nativity. It's a Christmas movie. He plays Joseph, Jesus' father. Go deep in the well. That's young Oscar Isaac.
All right. Willing to do that. All my Snake knowledge comes from playing Smash Brothers, and that's pretty much about it. So, all right, guys.
I can't play his character at all.
Me neither.
I'm like horrible with it.
It's so bad, and I want to because he's cool looking and he's got a lot of cool moves, but I have no idea what I'm doing.
I would like to say that it's the character I can't play well with on Smash Brothers, but I think it's just that I'm old and my son is really good at that video game.
I like how my character hasn't changed since the N64 version. I was Samus then, and I'm Samus now.
Samus is a great character.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Samus is difficult for me too. I'm more Kirby or Sonic or Meta Knight.
Well, listen, I can only punk you if you suck. Like if you call my crap, I'm not gonna be able to do Samus. I'm gonna have to do something else. But all right. So,
I mean, I think last time we played, I beat you 1 out of the 6 games.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. We did. All right, so we'll leave the Smash Brothers podcast for another day, but I'm sure we could get into it. All right, so the big topic of today, because this could change just movie going. Like this is a big like it's like the red button. They just smacked the red button, and HBO said, "Bet, let's go." All right. Anyways, so Warner Brothers has announced that at least for the first chunk of 2021, I think I was overzealous. I said all, but I think it's for like the first several months. All of Warner Brothers 2021 movies for like the first half are all like, and this follows the news of Wonder Woman. They're all going to be going to HBO Max and theaters on the same day, which is a little bit of the best of both worlds, I think, for fans, because if you have a theater open and they're following policies and stuff, then you can go out and see it. We don't. The second we hit lockdown 2, the theaters closed right back up, and they'd only been open for like a month anyways. So HBO Max, unfortunately, is going to be like the only way for us to see it. But I'd rather that than like, oh, it's releasing in this state and this state, and you just have to
road
wait
trip.
Yeah, exactly. And I would easily drive 4 hours for Wonder Woman. And that's like 8 hours driving for like 4 hours a movie. But anyways, this is huge, guys. We got movies like Dune's coming out, Wonder Woman,
Matrix 4.
Matrix 4, thank you. Woo! Yeah. All these things are going to be on HBO. So what are your guys' thoughts on both? Are you excited to watch these films and the impact this has on movie fans, theaters? Does this spell Doom getting rid of the theatrical window that used to be 3 months? How are theaters going to survive this?
I think it's going to be a positive, and I'll explain why. I think, one, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to see the revenues come back in for the theaters. There's also a backlog of movies. When the theaters do open, what do they open with? There are so many movies from 2020 that were pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and even some that should have been pushed, like Tenet. They're all stacking and stacking and stacking. At some point, you have new movies that you made that you want to release. Well, are you going to is Warner's going to drop 5 movies on the same Sunday or the same Friday night at the theater? Or are they going to have a new release every week?
I want to build on your point really quick, and I'll let you go right back into it. Bringing up the positives, you make a great point, because for the theaters that are trying to be open right now in this drought of movies, this at least gives them the option to, it's like, we're not holding on to our movies anymore, waiting for the theatrical experience to improve or the situation. So we're going to let you have our movies so that you can make money for those of you that are open. And meanwhile, we're just going to be making, oh, sorry, that's another good point I forgot to bring up. HBO is not charging for any of this. All these movies are going to be available for the first month of the release date on HBO Max. And then after that, I think it's going to be theaters only or VOD, and you pay after that. But the fact is that we have essentially almost free viewership for the first month for all these what would be theatrical debuts. Sorry, Scott, if you had more.
This is going to bring...
Uh-oh, connection issues.
Sorry,
there he goes. You cut
sorry,
him off.
that's my camera just went haywire for a second. The key here is that it's bringing dollars, and this is going to drive subscriptions. We joked about not being able to cancel them, but this is going to drive up the service for HBO, and I'm sure Warner's getting
monthly income residual.
Residual income is the best way to make money. And I'm not trying to sell you on a multi-level marketing scheme right now, but if you'd like to contact me later with your credit card, I can sell you. But
Scott, I noticed your skin's looking extra glossy today. Is there anything?
Let me tell you about that, Jesse. But what it will do is this is going to put money back in the pockets of the studios. They're not holding onto these properties anymore. They're going to be able to capitalize. It's also a benefit for the theaters that are open, but they can't wait forever. These movies are literally just sitting, burning money. And how many times have they advertised the release of Wonder Woman and been building it for over a year?
Oh, yeah. And you got to think, restarting that marketing campaign over and over again. You've bought the movie like 3 times over at this point. Something's got to give eventually.
They have to recoup dollars. And so this is good for fans. It's good for the theaters. It's good for the streaming service. And you know what? The diehard movie people, us 3,
right?
As soon as the theaters are back open, we're going to be seeing movies in theaters, especially ones that warrant going to the theater.
And then when you're at 50% capacity, and you can, kind of sit with like gaps and stuff.
Some movies need to be seen on the big screen.
Absolutely.
There are probably going to be a couple of these that you could get away with just watching at home, especially because home theater systems have gotten pretty darn. You can get a 75-inch TV for a small living room for like $800.
Yeah, they're affordable now.
Yeah, very. And so you can get a good experience in your living room. And maybe this is the future of what we're going to see, but I'm just excited that we're seeing it with Warner, and they're going to be the test run. If it works well for them, be looking for the other companies to start piggybacking on services.
Black Widow, what do you think?
I would say Disney does this. If it works for
Warner,
they said
they won't, but I think you're right.
They're going to have to. Look what happened with Mulan.
Well, the problem with Mulan is they charge $30 to see it. And what they should have done is just put it on their service, use it as a boost for their streaming service, and then called it good.
Which they're now doing for Soul. Soul's also coming out on Christmas Day, no charge on Disney Plus.
Right. So maybe they're trying to try both sides. Here's how I feel about it.
Please.
Scott, you were talking earlier about AMC getting upset with Universal over Trolls World Tour, which probably did better than any movie this year because it actually came out and was available, right? And HBO is one of the original streaming giants, pay-per-view, all that stuff, right? HBO has been around, okay? It's got stake in the game. It's got a name to stand on, and it's it's owned by Warner Media, right? Which is a Goliath. It's a bigger Goliath than Universal.
Especially with the HBO Max convergence now and bringing on all the DC stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, Universal, I forget what they're called now. All the parent company names keep changing or whatever, but they're pretty big too. But
eventually they'll all just say Disney.
Yeah. No, sooner rather than later. That's for sure. Disney, Amazon / McDonald's.
Apple. Also.
Oh, yeah, Apple. There you go. But what I'm saying is, early on, AMC is getting upset because, they don't know the length and the time of this coronavirus stuff and these shutdown situations in these limited capacity.
What are you going to do?
But now at this point, theaters are forced to adapt, and the movie industry is forced to adapt. And what's going to happen is theaters are going to have to open up to what AMC was going to do with rentals. They're going to have to turn into sports bars with giant screens. Sorry, I got a thing on the screen. There are a few that serve alcohol and more finer quality foods, or just are more hostable to events and things like that. They will have to play updated versions of Fandango or not Fandango, Fathom events. You remember Fathom events with Regal and stuff where they resurrect an old film for one night only or whatever. There's
or the Jurassic Park back in theaters for 2 weeks or something like that.
There's going to have to be a lot more of that, and in different ways, after they have the surplus of all these movies coming out. And they have so many movies coming out that some of them coming to streaming immediately just makes sense, because obviously you can't fill the theaters, but also at the same time, like Scott said, it encompasses more people. Some people weren't moviegoers in the first place, right, and now they have it right there. Some people can't even get out of bed, and they can go see the movie.
Right away. Point is that I think maybe in years past this wasn't really a viable business plan because you couldn't justify putting a $200 million film onto streaming. But now with the pandemic going on, all the streaming platforms are seeing numbers that are far beyond their projections for this year because people don't got crap to do. Like, this is what we're doing. We're sitting home and watching streaming.
I'll put it this way, into perspective this way, pretty well actually, I hope. 1 year ago, what was the standard for a date night? What do? You do two things: dinner and a movie. You can't touch the theater industry until now, when they're all on the verge of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean going out of business, but or actually bankrupt for that matter. But you know, a lot can change in a year, and then, you know, like, when you're forced to adapt, when you're forced into that situation, things change. You know, it's a reality check, it's a chin check, but you got it. Like, and so this is just what's going to happen. HBO has stake in the game. They have a lot of properties. They have more say, and they're going to send it. And the theaters at this point just have to, you know, work with people instead of against them.
We're working with, or right now we're experiencing cinematic Darwinism is what it is. And we're going to really have to see how things play out.
I think the other thing to consider in this also is with the streaming services. We talked about this if somebody wanted to go back in the catalog and listen to one of the podcasts. The shared dollars. When you put the movie in the theater, you're splitting dollars between corporation, or between AMC, the production company, everyone's getting a cut. If you go in directly to streaming, they're taking home more of the dollars. A higher percentage are going directly to the pocket of the studio. So you don't need to sell as many in order to make the money back. Whereas with advertising and everything else that goes in, you have to have an incredible run. You have to make almost 200 for $100 million movie. You have to make 200 million in the theater to break even.
We're going to see a lot of business models really shift in Hollywood, and because this isn't, with box office was something that was public, right? You know, you would get opening weekend. Now we're not going to know when something drops on like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. They might be like, oh, it got this many views, but we don't know if those are new subscribers, old subscribers. We won't know ourselves how much new income is being brought into these businesses. And I think it presents something that's really interesting. And I wonder if we're going to get the same amount of blockbuster entertainment, or if it's going to be like every streaming service pops off like 3 or 4 a year, and then puts the rest of their money towards
they will be able to track a little bit of that by they can watch their subscriber base and see how many additional subscribers they gain via releases. So there's going to be a minimal amount of that, but how many of those are, you know, to be honest, if I subscribe for $15 a month and there's a movie I wanted to see that I knew was coming to streaming, that's cheaper for the weekend
that month
to watch for my family. Because we've talked about this. I've got 4 kids. So
we were all on AMC
of us, my wife and I and
right?
our 4 kids. I have to take my family to a movie is easily $100.
Sure.
Between movie tickets and like you said, dinner and a movie is not a cheap date anymore. It used to be, we can go grab some stuff and it costs us $20, dinner and a movie. Now it's $100 easy, and
Buffalo
that's on the cheap end.
Itself could cost you $80.
Oh my god,
dinner.
Yeah. Well, if we go to Red Robin with the 6 of us, it's almost $100. It kills.
It's a lot. It's a lot anymore. Everything's just going up. I have another concern or issue, and I don't know if people have thought about it. So, for maybe Stranger Things, Netflix did a decent job of advertising it
for the first time. Netflix is bad at advertising in general,
notoriously. But you know who else is? Hulu, HBO. Streaming services are just bad at advertising their things in general, but Netflix is the worst at it.
On that point, Disney Plus is one of the only streaming services I've seen advertised everywhere. And guess what? They're starting to kick everybody's asses in subscriber bases. In 1 year, they like tripled their projections, and they're dwarfing HBO's numbers.
But are they well, yeah, because it's Disney. But are they advertising Disney Plus, or are they advertising their new movies? Like, are there previews for Soul coming out on commercial on television? Are there billboards? Are there Instagram ads? Are there?
For me, it's mostly social media ads.
Well, and that's the thing, is that that's what most people see now. But like, also, you can't forget television commercials. You can't forget YouTube commercials and things like that. Like, it's something that's important for people to know that a movie's coming out. I found out that there's something new almost 100% of the time when it's the banner on Netflix. Like when I log into Netflix and it goes new Adam Sandler film or something, watch now.
Right.
And it's just they're terrible at advertising, and when they do make that stuff, they hire the worst people on earth to do it.
That does nothing for your subscriber base. Because you're advertising to your subscribers. What's the point?
Well, think of how many things are going to come and go and slip through the cracks without, like anybody ever seeing them. They got all these like little independent and experimental and low budget, just one camera, like dramas or whatever. They've got, the Judd Apatow one, Love, that lasted 3 seasons. Flaked, Will Arnett's project only lasted like what, 3 seasons. They have a bunch of things that they just shove on there, and then like they expect them to do well, but they expect people to see them. And I get that they have millions of people and millions of different algorithms all working at once, but at the same time, you can't rely on your technology to do what brand boosting does. There's a reason advertisement exists.
Absolutely. There's marketing budgets for a reason. And if,
movies coming out, just because you're splitting them in theater and in streaming service. I've gone to the theater before just to because I didn't know anything else to do, but I didn't know what was out. And there haven't been any like main blockbusters or anything out, so I'd have to like look up all the movies, and I never saw anything for any of those movies, like any like previews or anything like that. They were poorly advertised movies, which were probably in and out of the theater fast. And I granted, budgets and stuff can hinder that, but at the same time, you've got to do something to get people to see your movies, especially when we've gone a year.
I think we're gonna see
gonna be a whole year nothing.
We're gonna see Netflix make a shift into both marketing, and we've already seen the shift into original content because they've lost so many properties with HBO Max and Disney Plus.
Well, this is something that Netflix was talking about before the whole coronavirus thing. Is they wanted their originals on the Oscar bill or like the other awards bills and stuff, and they wanted to. Their films are showed at like Sundance and stuff, but they wanted theatrical releases for their films, and now this is the perfect time to try to jump on that bandwagon. If other streaming service films are going to make their way as major motion pictures, you can now start making your major motion pictures go into the theater setting. And that's the thing, is Netflix classically didn't spend a lot on all their movies, but in the past couple of years, they have broken that record a few times.
When Irishman came out, they spent like $200-300 million buying the rights to Irishman, which was absolutely nuts. Scott, did you have any additional thoughts before I propose a question to you guys?
Not particularly. I think the biggest thing for me with all the streaming services and everything is their advertising within platform. Like you said, the banners, those things help. But a lot of people are no longer on television. So TV advertisement doesn't really do a whole lot. I haven't had cable in years.
Same.
For me, social media advertising is where I see a lot of it.
Instagram, Facebook.
That is really the way. That's where most people get their news now. The news, advertising, all the stuff is coming via social media. So it doesn't surprise me that they're looking for different ways. But you're right; they have to market their product some way, shape, or form other than their own independent streaming service. The big thing is, you talk about the Netflix effect. They just released the movie Queen's Gambit, right? And with Queen's Gambit, suddenly you see chess tutorials, chess products off the charts across the planet, and you see this massive boost. Part of that is people catch the movie, then start talking about it on social media. Word of mouth advertising still to this day is number one. Word of mouth advertising. When people start talking about something they like, people will go to see it.
Which is one of the reasons I support Mandalorian's weekly release. There's a lot of people that are opposed to it, but guess what? It keeps us talking about it for like more than 8 weeks. Whereas Stranger Things, everyone watches it the first week and boom, So if it's fireworks, it's done.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Stranger Things or any of those ones that do a full dump right away. Is you get the binge watcher who watches a whole season one day. They send out spoilers to everybody,
Yep.
all over social media, as opposed to getting that filtering in and getting the conversation on a weekly basis. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the every week release because I've become accustomed to the wanting it. But then I have to remember that I also grew up in the 90s when you literally had to wait every week to find out what happened. And they'd leave you a cliffhanger right at the end of the episode to let you wonder what happened to that character.
I'm a really bad binger. I can admit to it because there's so many Netflix shows that are like 10 episodes, right? I get 7 episodes into it, especially like the Marvel Netflix or Bly Manor and some of these other things. And then like a few days go by where I don't watch it. And then like as a week goes by, I lose interest because I was just trying to stuff my face with that show too much, too fast. And then I just like drop it. Whereas,
well, there's got to be an in between though. Yeah. Like some shows, they've done this in the past where they'll release like 2 episodes or like a very long episode.
The Boys did that. They're like, here's 3 episodes, and then we're going to 1 a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
something like that. But they also have shorter seasons, and it depends on the show. Like, you know, like if you're gonna turn it around okay and like have a good budget, I'm fine with that. But if you're gonna do 8 episodes and it's going to be low budget and they're still going to be boring and I still have to wait every week for them, and then I have to wait like 3 years before you release one other season, I'm not getting, nobody's going to get behind these shows no matter the circumstances. You're going to have countless people drop off, maybe millions, you know, like talking about how many people haven't seen Daredevil season 3 because it was so long. You know what I'm saying?
You hit the nail on the head with, you have to put out a good product in a timely fashion. The quality of product that hits the screen makes a huge difference for people's willingness to stick it out. If you are doing a weekly release on a subpar product, I would rather wait for the whole thing and then binge it. Because, okay, a 10-part miniseries, right? That's an hour-long episode. That's a Saturday, 10 hours. Bang, I can knock this puppy out. Or it's just one really long night when I don't have anything to do the next day. And I see Jesse laughing at that because he's done it I don't know how many times, I'm sure. But the fact is, quality of product is what makes the biggest impact. If the show stinks, I'm not going to watch it. Or I'll try it, but if it doesn't catch me and get me to stick with it, you know, there's certain shows that, I'll be honest, I go back to when with regular television, Parks and Recreation, season 1 was really hard to get through, but season 2, it hit a stride, and that show was fantastic for the next 6. So,
and you're glad that it stuck around, but during season 1, you're probably like, what's going on?
Correct.
I want to bring it back to HBO Max really quick, because this is the question that I wanted to ask you guys before we wrap it up here. Is you saw some of the titles that are coming out here on streaming, things that, you know, a year ago, if somebody told you like a year ago, like, oh, Wonder Woman's going to skip theaters and go straight to HBO Max, you would have said they're crazy. But out of the films, what is it that stands out to you that you're most excited to see next year from HBO Max and Warner Brothers? Scott?
I'll go ahead and tackle this. I'm going to say Matrix 4. Matrix 1 came out when I was 18 years old, 1999. Still to this day, one of my favorite movies of all time. Number 2 and 3, I enjoy them, and I'm probably in the minority that will say that I really do like those movies. Can I admit they're not nearly as good as number 1? Absolutely. Number 1 is amazing. 2,
but they're fun.
They are fun. They're so much fun. They're an extravaganza. You go and watch them. The action's over the top. Things are crazy. Suddenly he can connect with the machines and the system when he's
experimenting with all that stuff. Yeah, dude. I mean, it just makes it cool. Like the story isn't as great as the first one, but it's still fantastic. Like it's just cool. The Matrix was well done.
Movies that we watch today are so heavily influenced by the technological advances that the Wachowski brothers, or the Wachowskis, invented. Bullet vision, all these other things that they did and revolutionized
how many times has that been spoofed in
done.
like the last 20 years?
Millions. Now the CGI, they were early in the CGI. Some of the CGI in Reloaded was really like, it does not hold up. No. If you watch it now, you're like, this is really bad CGI. It's not even close to believable. but they were still so far ahead of their game. We wouldn't have what we have today without those movies. So I'm excited to see what they come up with for number 4 and how they revitalize it or redeem the story a little bit. I'm invested in that one just because of the fact that the first Matrix movie is still to this day a top 5 movie all time for me.
I'm very interested to see what they do and how they bring back Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss and those other actors.
And jumping on the Keanu Reeves bandwagon, he's as popular and as hot of an actor as you can get at the current moment with all the success he's had with the Wick movies, with Bill and Ted Bill and Ted's
excellent. No, wait.
Bill and Ted 3.
Yeah,
thank you.
Face the music. Thank you.
Yeah, 3
and Cyberpunk 2. This is the height of his career, which is crazy because
it's
like
the Keanu
how old? He's like in his mid-50s.
He's much older than people think. And now, unless they're going to do a sequel to Johnny Mnemonic, that would really be going deep into his catalog.
Speed 3.
They are doing a sequel to Constantine.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of conflicting reports, but Tyler, do you have something on your list?
What else is there?
Well, for me, let me look up this list while we go. But off the top, Wonder Woman, Dune, Matrix 4. So give me a second.
I want to say Matrix 4, like for sure, and like I want to agree with Scott. Almost everything that he said was perfect. I 100% agree with him. Absolutely. That was that's. I remember when I saw. I had seen The Matrix a million times. I don't think I saw the first one in theaters, but I saw Matrix Reloaded in theaters. And when that movie ended, I was like, how long until the next one?
Oh.
And I think it was only a few months. And but even that wasn't long enough.
Can I throw one on there for you, Tyler?
Or short enough. Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Nah.
No. Okay.
No, I know. It's funny that I'm saying that because the original King Kong versus Godzilla is still one of my favorite movies, as old and as dated as it is. But those first 2 Godzilla movies, Kong Skull Island was okay, but
I like Kong Skull Island, and I actually like the first Godzilla a decent amount. 2 is just.
I am just not a fan of either of these Godzilla movies at all. I think they are hell bent on making Godzilla the most boring thing that they could possibly.
Tyler just judges his thunder thighs. All right, guys, let me give you a quick list of some of the things on here. The Little Things, I'm not sure what that is. Judas and the Black Messiah, the Tom and Jerry live action movie, Godzilla versus King Kong, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That's one movie. In the Heights, Space Jam, A New Legacy, The Suicide Squad, Reminiscence, Malignant, Dune, The Many Saints of Newark, King Richard, Cry Macho, and Matrix 4 are all coming to HBO Max this year.
Totally excited for Matrix 4, but I want to touch on a couple of them. I'll be very brief with Tom and Jerry live action. That just sounds cool. Like, finally, I've been watching it my entire life. Who hasn't? You mentioned
Space Jam.
Yeah, I have Space Jam on VHS still downstairs. It's one of my displayable things. Like, I love that movie, Space Jam. But then the last one would be obviously The Suicide Squad. Think of think of DC's property potential and character potential and movie potential. Just they're all around, like what they can do. And you have James Gunn, like
kind of the show he's doing now for HBO Max. James Gunn is like writing and producing the Peacemaker show with John Cena.
Yeah. I saw that, and that was kind of weird. But at the same time, this movie, I'm really excited for it. It better be good because it put a long hold on Guardians 3.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
it wasn't his controversial tweets that put a long hold on it.
Yeah. Well,
one thing
he got hired back. One thing led to another, and he got hired back. So, and he's still going to make that movie. But I'm really, really, really excited for the Suicide Squad. I want to see what he does. I want to see how he does it. They told him he could use whatever character he wanted,
and rated R,
any character, and he picked those. And
they offered him Superman. And he said Suicide Squad.
James Gunn took characters that nobody had really heard of, or anybody outside of comic books had ever heard of, and made one of the best series with the Guardians of the Galaxy, taking nobody, like people that no one had heard of, and the fact that they gave him good properties to pick what he wanted. You can only think it will be better than the first.
It's got to be.
And I'll be honest, I really like Idris Elba taking over the role of Deadshot, and
he's not actually playing Deadshot.
Oh, okay, sorry. He's
Idris
Elba's picking up the role. Yes,
yeah, he's filling the void left by Will Smith.
The people that he picked, the characters that he's picked, the things that he's doing are all thumbs up. They're all positive, and I trust James Gunn to take something ridiculous that nobody would really think would work.
That's what he does.
And make something awesome. Yeah, he's proven. Like he has a track record of success that you can lean back on.
Who did not really have a track record.
Well, look at Guardians of the Galaxy taking a lesser known property and making it everybody's favorite, or a lot of people's, to a certain caliber, and then take the crazy grittiness of a movie like Super, and then add them together, and you get Suicide Squad.
This will be our first rated R film inside the DCEU, which that's a pretty big deal, and that's a lot of fun.
Good. If you're gonna do Suicide Squad, though, make it.
In my opinion, the comics are R-rated. If you're bringing the comics to life, and now they've had an animated Suicide Squad movie that's rated R too. So just why not? For me personally, I have two big movies. And surprisingly, neither of them are comic book movies. But it is, first, I'll just really quickly go into Mortal Kombat, because they just like a month ago said that they pushed the release date off indefinitely because they wanted to release in theaters. Now they have a game plan. I just can't even quite quantify how excited I am for Mortal Kombat. It's just one of my jams. I love the horrible 90s movie, the first one.
I love the first one.
I watch it all the time.
I love the first one. If they don't kill Johnny Cage, I'll be excited about this one.
So that's one of the weirdest things. They've announced and cast like everybody in that movie, but there's no mention of Johnny Cage. I'm like, you cannot. It's funny. I introduced Mortal Kombat to my girlfriend, Lauren, and she really enjoyed the first movie. And I told her that they haven't announced with Johnny Cage and they're already done filming. And then she said, why bother? So that, and then my other big one is going to be Dune, as Scott could have guessed, because I've heard some of the other people I listen to talk about Dune so much for years, and then I saw that trailer and I was blown away. And the cast, oh my God, has there been a cast like Dune in anything in the last decade? It's like nothing comes to mind. But I was so excited. I listened to the 42-hour audiobook because I was like, all right, it's coming out in like 3 months. Can't wait. And then we are where we are. That's a movie that if you told me it was going to open theaters 3 hours from now, again, I'm packing up and driving out there because it's so cinematic. I'm going to be very disappointed. I have like a, what are you? I don't know, 40 something inch TV. And I have no.
You should feel speakers. That back more. It's just hilarious.
So yeah, I need some Dune in my life, and that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. The most. Space Jam will be interesting. I'm hearing a lot of rumors that Space Jam is going to lean into not just the Looney Tunes, but a lot of Warner Brothers properties. Like there's people that said that they saw like a Pennywise stand-in on set, so it's going to be like LeBron James and Warner Brothers, and not just.
It'd be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
But without freedom to use any property.
Yeah,
exactly. Disney will say no. Yeah. No Donald Duck this time. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. Any last thoughts on this big move and how much it could just really shake things up?
I think we talked quite a bit about it.
We did. That's why I saved it for last. All right, guys. Well, I'm so glad that we could get, the old crew back together. It's been a lot of fun. It's been some great quality discussion. Hopefully we can do it again next week, and we'll have another plethora of topics. But thank you, Tyler. High fives. Hey, so what? Wait, how do I? There's one.
I don't know. Yeah, then, you're right here to me, Jesse, and then Scott's down here. I don't know how.
I can't even reach around and get Scott down there. Anyways, little Madonna, little vote. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys so much.
If it's like this, or
Tyler, Thank you, Scott. Thank you. With that, this is all of us signing off saying, keep it real, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.